Wow, look at that. We're here.
Yay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
It's working. It's a little slow, but it's working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oops.
You have your expander all set and working right?
Expander.
Hey, Mr. Spears. Do we have the compressor and everything working right? Good. Guess we're ready to roll this thing then.
Yeah.
Everyone please stand with me as we come before Yahweh the Almighty.
Amen.
The God of our fathers, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov.
Yes.
And our mothers, Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel, Leah, and
Sarah.
Sarah, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Almighty Yahweh, we come before you today thanking you for your grace, which is sufficient and extends itself to all generations. We honor you this day, standing here in your presence with the saints, Lord. We ask you to be with us today as we study. I ask you for your Spirit to come and speak to us. Let us be guided and taught by your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, as we work together to come to a better understanding of your word. Let us be your servants here. Use us for your glory however you like. And we give ourselves over to you and your justice and your judgment in all matters concerning our service of you. And we thank you for it in the name of Messiah Yeshua. Everybody say, Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me.
I ask you to feed me, Lord.
And I'm thirsty.
And I'm thirsty.
I ask you to give me living water from heaven.
I ask you to give me living water from heaven.
So I'll have plenty to pour out upon others.
So I have plenty to pour out unto others.
In the name of Messiah Yeshua.
In the name of Messiah Yeshua.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch Hashem. You may be seated. I would like to once again give God thanks for this woman who stands at my side. She was at my side.
I better hurry. I better hurry back.
I just praise God for you. If she just knows of something that I need, it's done before I can even ask it. It's really amazing to see how you operate in the service of the Lord Yahweh. Thank you. I appreciate your dedication and your faithfulness. So
it's my pleasure.
Yep. We've got a lot of people that are in the background secretly being faithful and supportive. They're with prayers, with finances, with faithfulness, with their attention to details that are needed. And I thank God for each and every one of you. Amen. This week's Torah Parsha is Mishpatim. And it starts in Exodus 21, verse 1. Mishpatim, there's not a good way to translate that for us, but it means, I guess you could say, since this is something that God spoke into the Torah, it is the kinds of offenses and things that have a preset judgment to them. And so the Mishpatim would be understood to be the prejudged offenses of the people of Israel. So if someone is doing something that's incorrect, that it's one of these prejudgments is regarding, then there's already a decision from the heavenly court on how this is to be handled. It's not going to come into earthly system because it's already been judged in the way prescribed in the Torah here. Now keep in mind that we are dealing with the very last days of Israel's exodus out of the land of Egypt. And they haven't had a law for their own nation to deal with for over 450 years. 430? Give or take a couple of dozen years. Anyway, it's kind of irrelevant when you're talking 20, 10, 20 years compared to 430 years, or whatever it is. All right, you're determined enough. I'll let you have your way with it. I know that you know chapter and verse, and it's okay. I'd like to start this section off by saying that Israel has always been carried off into slavery and subdued and punished by their neighbors until they virtually were trying to eliminate them off the face of the planet. In more recent times, we see that happened with Germany in World War II. My father fought in that war to try to defeat Germany, and they did. They beat Germany real good, and Hitler disappeared off the face of the planet. So all those who come against our people, Israel, ultimately pay the ultimate price. It's a punishment with extreme prejudice that comes against those who would try to destroy or harm Israel. In more recent times, anyone who joined their voice with those who attacked Israel received such real severe punishment. And we see how that even the presidents of the United States that have not been forthcoming with justice and righteousness and spoke evil of our nation of Israel received a extra punishment by their own hometowns being targeted by storms and things that they couldn't. There was no people involved in it. It was just God's wrath being focused on their hometowns because they set their hearts and minds against Israel. So I praise God for a president who is willing to stand up for the people of Israel. And I haven't often spoken any kind of political rhetoric. I usually don't get involved in politics. And I'm still reluctant to, although the spirit in me is starting to rise up. I'm basically a peaceful person seeking peaceful solutions. But there are times when my enemies would work so hard to try to destroy me and this ministry that it really makes me angry sometimes. I just get infuriated when I see what they're doing. But you know what? Yahweh Roe. Yahweh is my shepherd. I have no wants. He takes care of me. He leads me into the green pastures like a lamb loves green grass. And he restores my soul when I get all upset. He gets me to lie down in his green pastures, and he gets me to resting. And sometimes I rest about twice as long as I intended to, like this morning. But he just takes care of everything. Everything is taken care of by my Yahweh, who is my shepherd. Anyone who tries to stand up for Israel is normally attacked by the adversary. The opponents of Israel always love to pick on anyone who stands up for Israel. And we've discovered that's true here with this congregation. People have come against our people when they are standing up for me, when they stand up and support me and help me to be able to get God's work done here. They love to try to attack our finances through curses and our vehicles through curses and our properties through curses. They do everything they can and speak evil of us. And, you know, I feel sorry for them because there's no way they can win. They always fall. And all those who curse my soul die. And I don't do it. I don't curse them. God curses them. And many of them have said to people who know the facts that God fights for it. Rabbi Hall's God fights for him, and it's true.
Yes, he does.
So many times I've seen those who have spoken evil of me just poof, disappear. Where'd it go? I don't know. I've had pastors of churches speak against me. Yeah. They think that we're a cult and we're evil, and they'll curse us with their mouths. And then you look around and wonder where they went. I don't know. I didn't do it. Don't look at me. My God does fight for me. And I would hate to see any of you disappear from planet Earth because you don't know that. So, we have a wonderful president who is in support of God and Israel. And of course, all kinds of men everywhere are speaking ever evil of him. Beware. God put him in power. And if you speak against him, you're speaking against God. So just be careful what you say.
The Torah even specifies, even in this week's Torah reading, that not to speak anything evil against your leaders.
That's right. In fact, I was going to go to the Brit Hadashah and read a reference to that concerning Shaul, the beloved of the church, Apostle Paul.
Right.
Okay. In fact, why don't we just do that? Let me get my reference back up here. That's the wrong reference.
We're not getting your transmission, so I need to ask you to please restart the NDI for me. And
okay.
OBS.
All right. They said that my Bible program wasn't coming through. And so it should be coming through now. Can you see it?
Yes, I do see it. You can hide that, please?
Okay, so, you know, the spirits of this world are happy to work with witches to try to do what they can. So if the witch coven start cursing us, they go, yay, we get some work today, and then they go out there and then they get destroyed. It's not so easy as that. Things are not just not that that 23:1. Trying to find out where I'm at here. Okay, here we are. I'm trying to get to where it's mentioned here. Right, here we go. All right, so we're going to go over to the book of Acts chapter 23. Now, in the days of Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, the Judeans were coming strongly against anyone who followed the beliefs and teachings of Messiah, Yeshua. And they were looking for every excuse they could to get him destroyed, dismembered, dismantled, thrown away, disregarded. And it was causing some extra problems for them, and I wanted to show you what was going on as a background. In verse 22 of Acts 22, it says, they had been listening to him to this point, but now they shouted at the top of their lungs, rid the earth of such a man. He's not fit to live. And they were screaming, waving their clothes, and throwing dust into the air. So the commander ordered him to be brought to the barracks and directed that he be interrogated. And this is your beloved Paul that was being attacked by people who were opposing him. And directed that he be interrogated and whipped in order to find out why they were yelling at him like this. But they were stretching him out with thongs to be flogged. The tradition in that day was to take leather thongs and embed pieces of bone and rock in the thongs, and then they would lash them with these thongs and rip their flesh right off their body as they were hitting them with these things. But as they were stretching him out with thongs to be flogged, Shaul said to the captain standing by, "It is illegal for you to whip a man who is a Roman citizen and hasn't even had a trial." When the captain heard that he went and reported it to the commander. "Do you realize what you're doing? This man is a Roman citizen." The commander came and said to Shaul, "Tell me, are you a Roman citizen?" "Yes," he said. The commander replied, I bought this citizenship for a sizable sum of money, but the commander replied, "I bought this citizenship for a sizable sum of money." He had to pay for his right to be called a Roman. "But I was born to it," Shaul said. At once the men who had been about to interrogate him drew back from him. The commander was afraid too, because he realized that he had put this man who was a Roman citizen in chains. However, the next day, since he wanted to know the specific charge the Judeans were bringing against him, he released him and ordered the head Kohanim and the whole Sanhedrin to meet. And then he brought Shaul down and put him in front of them. Shaul looked straight at them and said, "Brothers, I have been discharging my obligations to God with perfect and clear conscience right up until today. But the Kohen Hagadol, Hananiah, ordered those who were standing near him to strike him on the mouth." Then Shaul said to him, "God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Will you sit there judging me according to the Torah, yet in violation of the Torah, order me to be struck?" The man nearby said, "This is the Kohen Gadol, the high priest of God, that you're insulting." And Shaul said, "I don't know, brothers. I didn't know it, that he was the Kohen Gadol. For it says in the Torah, you are not to speak disparagingly of a ruler of your people." But knowing that one part of the Sanhedrin consisted of the Tzedekим, and the other part of the Prushim, that would be the Sadducees and the Pharisees, Shaul shouted out, "Brothers, I myself am a Parush, and the son of Perushim, and it is concerning the hope of the resurrection of the dead that I am being tried. And when he said this, an argument arose between the Perushim and the Tzedekим, and the crowd was divided. For the Tzedekim deny the resurrection and the existence of angels and spirits, whereas Perushim acknowledge both. So there was a great uproar with some of the Torah teachers who were on the side of the Perushim standing up and joining in. We don't find anything wrong with this man, and if a spirit or an angel spoke to him, what of it? And the dispute became so violent that the commander, fearing Shaul would be torn apart by them, ordered the soldiers to go down and take him by force and bring him back to the barracks. The following night the Lord stood by him and said, "Take courage, for just as you have become faithful witness to me in Jerusalem, so now you must bear witness in Rome." The next day some of the Judeans formed a conspiracy. They took an oath saying they would neither eat or drink until they had killed Shaul. More than 40 were involved in this plot, and they went to the head Kohanim and the elders of them said, "We have bound ourselves by an oath to taste no food until we have killed Shaul. What you are to do is to make it appear to the commander that you and the Sanhedrin want to get more accurate information about Shaul's case, so that he will bring him down to you, and while we, for our part, are prepared to kill him before he ever gets there." But the son of Shaul's sister got wind of the planned ambush, and he went to the barracks and told Shaul. Shaul called for the officers and said, "Take this man up to the commander. He has something to tell him." So he took him and brought him to the commander and said, "The prisoner Shaul called me and asked me to bring this young man to you because he has something to tell you." The commander took him by the hand and led him aside privately and asked, "What is it you have to tell me?" He said, "The Judeans have agreed to ask you tomorrow to bring Shaul down to the Sanhedrin on the pretext that they want to investigate his case more thoroughly. But don't let yourself be talked into it, because there are more than 40 men there are lying in wait for him, and they have taken an oath to neither eat or drink until they kill him. And they are ready now, only waiting for you to give your consent to their request." The commander let the young man go, cautioning him, "Do not tell anyone that you reported this to me." Then he summoned 2 of the captains and said, Get 200 infantry soldiers ready to leave for Caesarea at 9 p.m. tonight, and 70 mounted cavalry and 200 spearmen. Also provide replacements for Shaul's horse when it gets tired, and bring him through safely to Felix the governor. And the commander wrote the following letter. And so he told the information to Felix. Now, God always prepares a way for us to escape, or he will come in himself and through extreme prejudice take care of the situation for us. I just wanted you to see this. This is an ongoing deal. It's been going on forever. And Rav Shaul was no different from me. I am a emissary of Almighty Yahweh. And I'm telling you what Almighty Yahweh says in his word. I speak the truth. I never tell a lie about God or his word, ever. And I am faithful to execute his commands faithfully to the very end. For this, the world doesn't like it. you know what? I don't care if they like it or not. I'm still going to do what God's called me to do. So, the story goes on here as this man was seized by Judeans and was about to be killed by them, and I came on the scene with my troops and rescued him. After learning that he was a Roman citizen, I wanted to understand exactly what they were charging him with. So I brought him down to their Sanhedrin. I found that he was charged in connection with questions of their Torah, their law, but that there was no charge deserving of death or prison. When I was informed of the plot against this man, I immediately sent him to you, and also ordered his accusers to state their case against him before you. So the soldiers, following their orders, took Shaul during the night and brought him to Antipatris, and then returned to the barracks after having leaving the cavalry to go with him. The cavalry took him to Caesarea, and that's the city of Caesar. It's in Israel. Delivered their letter to the governor and handed Shaul over to him. The governor read the letter and asked what province he was from. On learning he was from Sicily, he said, I will give you full hearing after your accusers have arrived, and ordered him to be kept under guard in Herod's quarters. See, Herod was living in Caesar's palace there at Caesarea. After 5 days, the Kohen Gadol, Hananiah, came down with some of the elders and the lawyers named Tertullus, and they presented their case against Shaul to the governor. Shaul was called, and Tertullus began to make charges. Felix, your excellency, it is because of you that we enjoy unbroken peace, and it is your foresight that has brought this nation so many reforms in so many areas. It was with the utmost gratitude that we received this. But in order not to take up much of your time, I beg your indulgence to give us a brief hearing. We have found this man a pest. That's basically what they have found in our president, that he's a pest. He is an agitator among all the Jews throughout the world and ringleader of the sect of the Nazarene. He even tried to profane the temple, but we arrested him. By questioning this man yourself, you will be able to learn all about the things of which we are accusing him. And the Judeans also joined in the accusation and alleged that these were facts. That's what's happening with the Democrats. They're claiming that Trump has got all these errors, he's lying, he's twisting, and to their eyes they feel that they're justified in their accusations, but they're not justified. Verse 10, the governor motioned for Shaul to speak, and he replied, I know that you have been judge over this nation for a number of years, so I'm glad to make my defense. As you can verify for yourself, it has not been more than 12 days since I was up to worship in Jerusalem, and neither the temple or the synagogues or anywhere else in the city did they find me either arguing with anyone or collecting a crowd, nor can they give any proof of the things of which they are accusing me. But this I do admit to you, I worship God of our fathers in accordance with the way which they call a sect. I continue to believe everything in accordance with the Torah and everything written in the prophets. I continue to have hope in God, and they too accept that there will be a resurrection for both the righteous and the unrighteous. Indeed, it is because of this I make my point of always having a clear conscience in the sight of both God and men. After an absence of several years, I came to Jerusalem to bring a charitable gift to my nation and to offer sacrifices. It was in connection with this hope, with this ladder, that they found me in the temple. I had been ceremonially purified. I was not with a crowd. I was not causing a disturbance. But some of the Jews from the province of Asia, they ought to be here before you to make a charge if they have anything against me. Or else let these men themselves say what they found me guilty of when I stood in front of the Sanhedrin. Order this, that one thing which is I shouted out when I was standing among them. Am I on trial before you today because I believe in the resurrection of the dead? Oh, that's what he shouted out. I am on trial today before you because of a belief in the resurrection of the dead. But Felix, who had rather detailed knowledge of things connected with this way, put them off, saying, when Lysias and the commander comes down, I will decide your case. He ordered the captain to keep Shaul in custody, but to let him have considerable liberty. Whose phone is that? Okay. He ordered the captain to keep Shaul's in custody, but to let him have a considerable liberty and not prevent any of his friends from taking care of his needs. After some days, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish. He sent for Shaul and listened to him as he spoke about trusting in Messiah Yeshua. But when Shaul began to discuss righteous self-control and the coming judgment, Felix became frightened and said, for the time being, I will go away. I will send for you when I get a chance. At the same time, he hoped that Shaul would offer him a bribe so that he sent him for rather often to keep talking with him. After 2 years, Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus, but because Felix wanted to grant the Judeans favor, he left Shaul still a prisoner. So anyway, you can see they're really working hard to get rid of Shaul. A Jew, born of Jews, was a Pharisee, a son of a Pharisee. I mean, he had done everything according to Jewish law. President Trump's doing everything according to the United States law. But there are many in our government that are twisting things and trying to come and find some fault with him so they can find a cause to file lawsuits against him and get him disbarred, dismembered, or whatever. You know, I'm telling you, I'm not a political guy, but I am a righteous guy, and I will speak out on behalf of the righteous. You may not think he's righteous. That's your problem. He was put in office by Almighty Yahweh. And there's no one will deny that except those who are trying to get him thrown out of office. It's not right what's going on, or I would say nothing. Those who are accusing Trump of breaking the law, ask yourself this question. Are they breaking the law? The ones who are doing the accusing, are they breaking the law? You know they are. So how can you stand in support of unlawful people to try to get a righteous man kicked out of office? You answer that question. What right do you have to come against him? I'm not going to say that President Trump is without fault. All men have faults of one type or another, but not all men have been put into power by the hand of Almighty Yahweh. Trump has. I warn you, those of you who are coming against him, if you get God stirred up enough, you're going to see him come after you. That's not a threat from me. That's a threat from Almighty Yahweh. So you just go ahead and do it and see what he does. I hope you get this. It's not my desire to see anybody meet their Maker, especially those who are wicked and evil that don't have a chance of a snowball in hell of making it to heaven. I'm telling you, you will pay for your evil words. Lashon hara is a very evil thing in Judaism, and you're going to pay the price for coming against Almighty Yahweh, since He is the one who put Him into power to begin with. I believe that Trump will do exactly what he promised before he was elected president. I believe he will bring this nation back to a place of greatness. And I tell you that he's not going to have all of you accusers help to make it happen. Amen. God knew you were going to rise up against him. Watch out that you don't go too far with your accusations. Period. This is a warning from Yahweh to all of those who accuse our president of evil when he's done no such things. Amen. Yahweh himself will defend President Trump, and you better believe it. Wow. All you witches and warlocks out there, you're on a slippery slide going straight down to the pits of hell itself. You better watch your step. You've already gone way too fast, too far, and it will come back to bite you. Well, witchcraft, warlocks, evil people all over the place have been after me ever since I accepted God's call into this position. And everybody that they can convince that I'm wicked have tried to turn against me. But guess what? It ain't working, because I didn't get into this place by myself. I got into this place because Almighty Yahweh put me here. I don't know, maybe He put me here so my voice would raise up against you, so you would know exactly what it is you've done wrong. When your families are weeping over your comatose bodies, well, just know you called this upon yourself. There are many people in this world who are trying to foil the plans of Almighty Yahweh. If you don't believe me, just look at Hitler. Where's he at now? I'm still alive. He's dead. Hitler was practicing witchcraft too. And it worked for a short season. But beware. Judgment is coming. I praise God for President Trump and for everybody who has a righteous heart that's not trying to do wickedly to anyone. I praise God for you, if that's you. I praise God that He hears the cries of those who are righteous. You look at where this government is headed and how evil people are rising up into power. Everyone with the big mouth in D.C. is speaking evil, Lashon hara, the evil tongue. Are you sure you want to be on their side when the Messiah comes back? Not a good idea. Well, you can continue reading this story that we've looked at in Acts chapter 25, beginning in verse 1, that we've got a new guy showing up in there on the scene. And oh no, we worked so hard to gain favor with this this commander, Felix. All that hard work, it's gone, we've lost. No, we haven't. Because Yahweh Roi. You continue reading the story, you find out that other people are trying to kill Shaul, because it's not just the evil, wicked people that are trying to kill Shaul, but it's also his religious right that is trying to kill him. You can read on down and find out how Rav Shaul wins at the end. And he did the work that God commissioned him to do. He says, I want you already borne a good witness to me in Jerusalem. Now I want you to go to Rome. So he actually gets to Rome. He's put in a prison in Rome, but it's more like a Roman governmentally paid existence in a nice hotel room is more like what it was than being in prison. All of his cares were taken care of, all of his needs. He even had his own personal secretary there taking his notes and sending letters out to the whole Jewish community around the world. He became one of the biggest epistles and workmen for the Brit Hadashah, the New Covenant age, bringing the good news to people that couldn't speak Hebrew. He could speak Hebrew, he could speak Greek, he could speak Latin. Languages didn't seem to bother Paul. Shaul replied to Festus, who took over for Felix. Festus wanted to do a favor for the Judeans. He asked Shaul, would you be willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried before me there on these charges? Shaul replied, I am standing right now in the court of the emperor, and this is where I should be. I have done no wrong. The Judeans, as you very well know, if I am a wrongdoer, if I have done something for which I deserve to die, I am ready to die. But if there is nothing to these charges that they are bringing against me, no one can give me to them just to grant favor. I appeal to the emperor. These are serious words to come out of Paul's mouth. He appealed to the emperor. Then Festus, after talking with his advisors, answered, you have appealed to the emperor. You will go to the emperor. Can God get you in front of the ones that need to hear? Yes. After some days, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were staying on there for some time, Festus had the opportunity to acquaint the king with Shaul's situation. There's a man here, he said, who is left behind in custody by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the head Kohanim and the elders of the Judeans informed me about him and asked me to pronounce judgment against him. My answer to them was that it is not the custom with Romans to give up an accused man just to grant a favor. Therefore, he has met his accusers face to face, had the opportunity to defend himself against the charges. So when they arrived here with me, I did not delay, but took my seat in court the next day and ordered the man brought in. When the accusers stood up, instead of charging him with some serious crime as I had expected, they disputed with him about certain points in their own religion, and particularly about somebody called Yeshua who had died, but Shaul claimed he is alive. Being at the loss as to how to investigate such questions, I asked him if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried on these matters there. But since Shaul appealed to be kept in custody and have his case decided by his imperial majesty, I ordered him held until I could send him to the emperor. Agrippa said to Festus, I myself have been wanting to hear the man. Tomorrow, he replied, you will hear him. So the next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with much pageantry, and they entered the audience room, accompanied by military commanders and the prominent men of the city. Then, at the command of Festus, Shaul was brought in. Festus said, King Agrippa and all of you here with us, do you see this man? The whole Judean community is complaining to me about him both in Jerusalem and here, crying that he shouldn't be allowed to remain alive. But I discovered that he had done nothing that deserves a death sentence. Now, when he himself appealed to the emperor, I decided to send him. However, I have nothing specific to write to his majesty about him. This is why I brought him before all of you, especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after we have examined him, I might have something to write. It seems irrational to me to send a prisoner without also indicating what charges are against him. Agrippa said to Shaul, you have permission to speak on your own behalf. Then Shaul motioned with his hand, and he began his defense. And it gets better and better as it goes. I don't know if anybody has any connection with President Trump, but I think he needs to read all of these verses that we've been going over here and see how he is not in the hands of men, but of Almighty God. God will use him the way he put him in power to be used. And nobody can stop him. All your lies, all your challenges, all of your little ruckus arousing, you don't have a hope of stopping God on this mission. That's a fact, Jack. You better get used to it. Somebody named Pelosi. Jack Pelosi? Agrippa said to Shaul, you have permission to speak on your own behalf. Then Shaul motioned with his hand to begin his defense. King Agrippa, I consider myself fortunate that it is before you today that I am defending myself against all the charges made against me by the Jews, because you are so well informed about all the Jewish customs and controversies. Therefore, I beg you to listen to me patiently. So then, all the Jews know how I lived my life from my youth on, both in my own country and in Jerusalem. They have known me for a long time, and if they are willing, they can testify that I have followed the strictest party in our religion. That is, I have lived as a Pharisee, a Perush. How ironic it is that I stand on trial here because of my hope in the promise made to our fathers. It is the fulfillment of this very promise that our 12 tribes hope to attain as they resolutely carry on their acts of worship night and day. Yet it is in connection with this hope that your majesty that I am being accused by the Jews. Why do you people consider it incredible that God raises the dead? I used to think it was my duty to do all I could to combat the name of Yeshua from Nazareth. And in Jerusalem I did so, after receiving authority from the head Kohanim, the head priesthood. I myself threw many of God's people in prison. When they were put to death, I cast my vote against them. Often I went from one synagogue to another, punishing them trying to make them blaspheme. And in my wild fury against them, I even went so far as to persecute them in cities outside the country. On one such occasion, I was traveling to Damascus with the full authority and power of the head priesthood, the head Kohanim. I was on the road, and it was noon, Your Majesty, when I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shining around me and my traveling companions. We all fell to the ground. Then I heard a voice saying to me in Hebrew, Shaul, Shaul, why do you keep persecuting me? It is hard on you to be kicking against the ox goads. I said, who are you, sir? And the Lord answered, I am Yeshua, you are persecuting me. But get up and stand on your feet, and I have appeared to you to appoint you to serve and bear witness to what you have already seen of me, and to what you will see when I appear to you in the future. I will deliver you from the people and from the Goyim, the non-Jewish people. I am sending you to open their eyes so that they will turn from darkness to light, from the power of the adversary to God, and thus receive forgiveness of sins and place among those who have been separated for holiness by putting their trust in me. So, King Agrippa, I did not disobey the vision from heaven. On the contrary, I announced first in Damascus and then in Jerusalem and throughout Yehuda, also to the Goyim, the non-Jews, that they should turn from their sins to God and then do deeds consistent with repentance. It is because of these things that the Jews seized me in the temple and tried to kill me. However, I have had God's help. So to this day, I stand testifying. This is so good. Testifying to both small and great, that saying nothing but what both the prophets Moses said would happen, and that Messiah would die, and that he, as the first to rise from the dead, would proclaim light to both the people of Jews and the Goyim, the non-Jews. But just as he reached this point in his defense, Festus shouted at the top of his voice, Shaul, you're out of your mind. So much learning is driving you crazy. But Shaul said, no, I am not crazy, Festus, your excellency. On the contrary, I'm speaking words of truth and sanity. For the king understands these matters, so to him I express myself freely. Because I am sure that none of these things have been hidden from him, and after all, they didn't happen in some back alley. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know you believe. Agrippa said to Shaul, in this short time, you're trying to convince me to become Messianic. Shaul replied, whether it takes a short time or a long time, I wish to God that not only you, but also everyone hearing me today might become just like me, except for these chains. Then the king got up, and with him the governor and Bernice, his wife, the king's wife, and the others sitting with them. And after they had left, they said to one another, this man is doing nothing that deserves either death or prison. And Agrippa said to Festus, if he hadn't appealed to the emperor, he could have been released. But that wasn't God's plan. This isn't King Agrippa's plan here. This is Yahweh's plan. He could have been released. But he did the very thing that prevented them from releasing him. Why? Because God wants a message brought to the emperor of the Roman Empire. That's why. And nobody's going to stop Yahweh from doing that. Chapter 27, it continues. Once it had been decided that we should set sail for Italy, they handed Shaul and some other prisoners over to an officer of the emperor's regiment named Julius. We embarked on a ship from Adramyttium, which is about to sail to the ports along the coast of the province of Asia, and put out to sea, accompanied by Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica. The next day we landed in Sidon, and Julius considerately allowed Shaul to go visit his friends and receive what he needed. He let him go. He went off to the island all by himself and saw his friends who were going to help him out along the way. Yeah. Verse 4, putting to sea from there, we sailed close to the sheltered side of Cyprus because the winds were against us. Then across the open sea, what is wind, by the way? Give me a nice Hebrew word for wind. Ruach. What's the Greek word for wind? It's pneuma.
That's right, pneuma.
And so we're talking about spirit/wind here. So the spirit/wind was opposing him. So the spirit/wind had things that he wanted Paul to do. He's not going to let him go on until it's done. So putting to sea from there, we sailed close to the sheltered side of Cyprus because the winds were against us. Then across the open sea along the coast of Sicilia and Pamphylia, and so we reached Myra in Lycia. Get this page forward. Then the Roman officer found an Alexandrian vessel sailing to Italy and put us aboard it. For a number of days we made little headway, and we arrived off of Cnidus only with difficulty. The wind would not let us continue any further along the direct route, so we ran down along the sheltered side of Crete from Cape Salome, and continuing to struggle on, hugging the course, we reached a place called Pleasant Harbor, near the town of Lasea. Since much time had been lost, and continuing the voyage was risky because it was already past Yom Kippur, the day of fasting, Shaul advised them, "Men, I can see that our voyage is going to be catastrophic, not only with the huge losses in cargo and the ship, but with loss of our lives as well." However, the officer paid more attention to the pilot and the ship's owner than to what Shaul said. Moreover, since the harbor was not well suited to sitting out in the winter, the majority reached the decision to sail on from there to the hope of reaching Phoenix, another harbor in Crete, and wintering there, where it was protected from the southwest and northwest sides. Then a gentle southerly breeze began to blow. They thought that they had their goal within grasp, so they raised the anchor and started cruising by Crete close to the shore. But before long there struck from us a full gale from the northeast. So these spirits were against Shaul. They didn't want him to go before the Roman emperor. His witches and witchcraft were praying against him too. Everybody's witches and witchcraft were trying to stop Shaul on his journey. Shaul. This full gale that struck him was the kind they call Kilon. The ship was caught up and unable to face the wind, so we gave way to it and were driven along. I'm out of time on this morning, but I want you to know when you are on a mission from God, I want that part to sink in. When you are on a mission from God, nothing and nobody can stop it. Not all the forces of hell itself, not the weather, not witchcraft, not anything can stop it. God will have his plan and have it succeed. It's going to succeed. Well, you read on, you find out that their ship crashed and wrecked on an island, and they couldn't go further. But God was able to be the hero of the day and helped everyone survive. Then they got on the island there where they were going to spend the winter, and Rav Shaul threw some logs on a fire, and a viper jumped out of that thing and bit him on the arm, and everybody was watching, expecting him to die. Well, guess what? He just flung it off back into the fire and went on. And then they started worshiping him like a god. You get the point. You cannot beat a man who's on a mission from Yahweh. The more you fight him, the more you're going to see God's plans come through and work. The more impossible it is, the more you will see President Trump win. President Trump, I don't know if you get this message or not, but I will tell you this. If you will continue with your foot on the path that God has set you on, you will not fail. Ever. Until your mission is complete. Take courage. Chazak v'chazak v'nit hazek. Be strong and strengthen yourself. You're on a path established by Yahweh. End of the program for this morning. We got to go into our morning service, so please stay tuned, and we're going to have a lot of fun with God here in charge today. I mean, I didn't do anything but just read to you what the book of Acts says. The end was for all of those who were coming against Rav Shaul. And Shaul's end is to continue on his path, no matter what it looks like. If you get a new emperor that doesn't know you, it doesn't matter. God's got you on a mission. You keep on your mission. And if it looks like he's going to put you to death for it, you rejoice because Yahweh Roe. The same chapter in Psalm says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for Yahweh is with me. President Trump, you don't need to fear anything, for Yahweh is with you.
Thy light is come, arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. And the sons of those who afflicted thee, and all who have despised you will bow down. Then they shall call you the city of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. You, O Lord, are my refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can run to. Oh, you, my Lord, are my refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can run to. Call on the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. Call on the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. Are the light of my life. Your word is a lamp to my feet. Oh, you, my Lord, are the light of my life. Your word is a lamp to my feet. Oh, call on the name of the Lord, bless the name of our God, O Zion. Call the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. My refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can run to. You, O Lord, are the light of my life. For you, O Lord, are my refuge and strength. Shall come unto thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see, they gather themselves all together. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. And the sons of those who afflicted thee, and all who have despised you will bow down. Then they shall call you the city of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of the Lord is seen upon thee. You, O Lord, are my refuge and strength. Strong fortress I can run to. Oh, you, my Lord, are my refuge and strength. Strong fortress I can run to. Call on the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. Call the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. The light of my life. Your word is a lamp to my feet. Oh, you, my Lord, are the light of my life. Your word is a lamp to my feet. Oh, call on the name of the Lord, bless the name of our God, O Zion. Call the name of the Lord, Yerushalayim. Bless the name of our God, O Zion. My refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can run to. You, O Lord, are the light of my life. For you, O Lord, are my refuge and strength.
We're back.
Yes. We are. Here's your mic.
Thanks, Cheryl.
You're very welcome. All right. Sounding the
We're going to
shofar.
sound a trumpet. Call to worship.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu shamo kol hashafarot. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us to hear the sound of the shofars.
Amen.
Amen.
my lip right between this shofar
And the tooth.
yeah.
Oy.
But it's not going to get a bruise, and it's not going to get swollen up or nothing. It's just going to be normal.
Amen.
Because I'm on a mission from God.
That's right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and we welcome you. And we're thankful that Yahweh is here with us. And may you be ready to receive and prepare your hearts to worship Him as well.
And if you are wise,
Yes.
you will turn to Yahweh
Right.
and obey His commandments
Right.
and put your foot on a mission and a task that He ordained for you.
Amen.
And when you do that, nobody can beat you.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Amen.
It was a good class this morning. I think if you didn't hear the class this morning, you should go back and listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm preaching things that's the same old that everybody else is preaching, then you just go on back to them and don't worry about me. But if you think that I'm preaching something of value that needs to be heard and taught, then I want to ask you to support us in this work.
Yes.
How can you support us? Well, first of all, you can go to your Facebook page and click a thumbs up on the sermon.
YouTube.
Oh, that's right, the YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You can take YouTube and click on the thumbs up on it, and that'll let us know that somebody out there was at least watching, even if they didn't care to comment.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But your comments are thoroughly appreciated as well. So
Yes.
please let us know if you heard this and you liked the teaching this morning.
Amen.
I don't know how any Christian can come against the teaching this morning. I just read out of the New Testament
Sure did.
the whole class.
That's right.
I didn't really do anything else. How can you be against that? I don't care if you're Catholic or Baptist or Church of Christ or any of the Christian denominations. You won't find anything wrong with what we taught this morning. And the message was powerful. And I think you need to go listen to it and pray and ask God if you should be supporting this work.
Amen. Amen.
So, and I won't go there.
All right.
Let's have some praise and worship to Yahweh today.
Amen. And before we do that, may I make just a few announcements?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, let's go ahead.
Well, we are going to continue with our Tuesday night Torah and Customs class. We did have a break last week for a special meeting, but I did send a link for y'all to view the Torah reading of an old archive. So I hope that y'all stay tuned for that. But in any case, it's at 7 p.m. here on the air. And that very night, the 5th of this regular month, it is Rosh Chodesh, the month of Adar 1. Adar 1. Adar 2 is 29 or 30 days later after that. And Adar 1 is very unique because it only occurs during the leap years. And what's interesting, throughout the regular years, we have Adar 2. Now, I'm not sure why it's that way. You would think it would be Adar 1 and then Adar 2 during the leap years. I don't know. But the only thing I don't know. I can only speculate, but I'd probably be wrong.
I only open my mouth to change feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So, during the closing of Rosh Chodesh, we're going to have a very delightful oneg before Yahweh, and that's Tuesday nights. It's going to be Tuesday night after our Torah and Customs class.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
We have a lot of fun around here.
Yeah, we do.
Even when the devil's attacking us and trying to get us knocked off our feet, we just say, Yahweh Roi.
Lo Exad. That's right. Yahweh Roi, Lo Exad.
That's right.
All right. All right. We shall praise and worship Yahweh, Amen. The mighty King of Israel, above all other gods. Oh, another note about the biblical calendar. It is going to be the 12th month. And we specified the 12th month based on the instructions that God has given us, or the examples that he gives us, and how he tells us, on this day, on this month, this is when we're come together in assembly. Unless he specifically makes note of it, like the month of Aviv, which occurs in Passover during that time. So just for clarifying, if we have to say the months by name. No, Aviv is not a bad month, and he even says it in the scriptures. So.
That's when the barley crop, the berries on the barley bush,
right.
stems,
right.
They reach the Aviv state, and the Aviv state is when you smash them between your thumbnails, it comes squirting out like toothpaste, or like cream cheese. Yeah, That's the Aviv state of the barley.
Yes, hallelujah.
What are we going to sing?
We're going to sing Up to Jerusalem first.
The year of Jubilee.
Oops. Up to Jerusalem, actually.
You know what a Jubilee is?
Yovel.
Do you know what it is?
Well, it's the Jubilee, what it is. It's when on the 7th year.
Where do we get the name of it?
Well, like in this Torah reading, speaks about, if you have a slave that you're to... No? Okay, I'm getting the... Go ahead. Tell me.
Yobel means a loud blast.
Yovel?
Jubilee.
Oh.
It's talking about blasting with the trumpet, with a loud blast.
Yeah.
And it says that you're to hear the trumpet throughout your land.
Uh-huh.
And that's Yobel.
Okay.
So it has to do with the musical instrument that we play the Yobel on, which is often mostly is shofar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shofar so good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Year of Jubilee.
Yes, we will get to that one pretty soon. Up to Jerusalem.
Oh, I thought that's what we were going to do next because you were talking about it.
Oh, no. It popped up on the screen, but they have to scroll back a bit.
I got you. Your mama. Change feet.
Yeah. I was glad when they said to me,
Oh, yeah.
Come to the house of the Lord.
Of Yahweh.
Standing here in your gates again. Up to Jerusalem. I was glad when they said to me, come to the house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again. Up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. Jerusalem peace, Adonai, son Shalom. Blessing be yours, God's peace within your walls. I was glad when you said to me, come to the house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again, up to Jerusalem. I was glad when you said to me, come to the house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. City of praise, where the tribes shout hallelujah. We lift our voice to the God of Israel. I was glad when you said to me, come to the house of the Lord. house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again. Up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. I was glad when you said to me, come to the house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again, up to Jerusalem. I was glad when they said to me, come to the house of the Lord. Standing here in your gates again, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. Come on and let's go. Up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem. Up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, up to Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Hey! Trumpet everywhere, all throughout the land. Follow my decrees, you must obey my commands. Gather with your families, come and sing and clap your hands. It is the year of Jubilee. It is the year of Jubilee, when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see, when the Lord sets the captives free. It is the year of Jubilee. Sound the trumpet, Israel, let all the people hear. It is I, the Lord your God, who draws you near. I have not forsaken you, so have no fear. It is the year of Jubilee. It is the year of Jubilee, when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see, when the Lord set the captives free. It is the year of Jubilee. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Ooh, die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Sound the trumpet everywhere. Let his praises ring. Yeshua has redeemed mankind, salvation he brings. For by his precious sacrifice are we here standing free. It is the year of Jubilee. It is the year of Jubilee, when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see, with the Lord set the captives free. It is the year of Jubilee. It is the year of Jubilee, when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see, when the Lord set the captives free. It is the year of Jubilee. It is the year of Jubilee, when the lame shall walk and the blind shall see, when the Lord set the captives free. It is the year of Jubilee. set us afire. Oh yeah.
And by your Spirit, miracles inspire.
Visions we will see and prophesy.
The latter days are here,
so now we cry. Let it flow like a river flow.
Yeah.
From Dan to Beersheba, Lord, let your Spirit flow. Let it flow, let it flow. Let it flow like a river flow. From Mount Zion now, let your Spirit flow. In latter days, you promised our people a home. Oh yeah. The land to us restored, no more to roam. In 1948, the nation was born. The time is now, release what you have sworn. Let it flow like a river flow. From Dan to Beersheba, Lord, let your Spirit flow. Let it flow like a river flow. Out of Zion now, let your Spirit flow. Let it flow, let it flow. You've gathered us from near and far as a prophetic sound. Now stretch forth your mighty arm. Send your Spirit one more time. Let it flow like a river flow. From Dan to Beersheba, Lord, let your Spirit flow. Let it flow, let it flow. Let it flow like a river flow. From out of Zion now, let your Spirit flow.
I feel a good anointing on this whole service today.
Hallelujah.
It's beautiful. Hallelujah.
Come and show your power as in days of old. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Burn up the idols of wood and stone. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. We come before you, Father. We offer you our lives. Our hearts are on your altar. Consume the sacrifice. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Come and show your power in our midst today. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Holy Spirit, let your fire fall. Lord, oh Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, oh Lord, let your fire fall. Purify your people, set our hearts aflame. Oh, give us holy passion. Come and glorify your name. Lord, Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, oh Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, oh Lord, let your fire fall. Lord, oh Lord, let your fire fall. Hallelujah. Let your fire fall. Let your fire fall. Let your fire fall. Let your fire fall. Lord, say, Lord, let your fire fall. Let your fire fall. Let your fire fall.
Baruch Hashem.
I enter the Holy of Holies. I enter through the blood of the Lamb. I enter to worship you only. I
Kadesh Lecha.
Holy unto you, holy unto you. Hear this humble prayer and make me holy unto you. Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. Hear this humble prayer, make me Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. Lord, I come to you with a humble heart, seeking more of you, wanting less of me, wanting more of you. From my deepest parts, God of mercy, comes an urgent prayer that my heart's desire is to you draw near. Holy unto you, holy unto you. Hear this humble prayer and make me holy unto you. Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. You are holy, Lord. Hear this humble prayer, make me Kadosh, Kadosh Lecha. I give myself to you on the altar lay. Spirit, come and fill so that I can more follow and obey. Let your light more shine in this wounded heart. Clean and purify so that you can more of yourself impart. Holy unto you, holy unto you. Hear this humble prayer and make me holy unto you.
Make me holy. Make me holy.
Holy to you, Lord.
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, eternity's holy King. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, whose word rings on the evening. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. By wisdom, O Lord, heaven's gates open up. With understanding you order the seasons, creating day and night, turning darkness into light, arranging the stars to your pleasing. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. Oh, blessed be the King, to the Holy One we sing. Lord of hosts is your name. Oh, ever-living God, rule over us, now and forever the same. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, eternity's holy King. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, whose word brings on the evening. Baruch Adonai Hamavora Leolam Va'ed. 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 Leolam Va'ed. Leolam Va'ed. Hallelujah. We worship you, Father. Thank you for being here with us.
Amen.
We'll continue with our worship and praise unto the Lord Yahweh with liturgical songs in Ivrit.
Amen.
Amen.
I guess it's time for me to stand up. I was enjoying being seated.
Be.
Is it for you?
It's for me.
I thought you were the Energizer Bunny. No, you're the Duracell Bunny.
Make that pro.
Yeah, Duracell Pro.
It would help if y'all would please unpack this for me before. That would be helpful. Did y'all hear me?
Did you hear her?
Thank you.
I am not my own honey.
Oh, you're not?
You are.
Here's the response to my trusty messenger, dead batteries. Or as in the production lingo, what is it? Cold bricks.
You know what dead battery reminds me of?
What's that?
It's like witchcraft. It lets you down when you really need it.
But we don't need it.
No, we don't, because we got
No,
Yahweh.
we really don't need that.
I said a dead battery's like witchcraft.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong path, going the wrong direction, don't even know it.
Excuse me. All right. Well, let us begin with Mattityahu, please. Mattityahu ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael, va'ani barov chashtecha, avo betecha, eshtachave el hekol chashtecha, v'yiratecha, Adonai ahavti me'ol betecha kom, Mishkan kavodecha, v'ani eshtachave v'yekra, evrecha lifnei Adonai osi, v'ani tefilati lech Adonai et ratzon, Elohim barov chashtecha, Aneni b'mei yeshecha, Aneni b'mei yeshecha. Let us face east toward Jerusalem for the Shema, please. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Amen. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be his glorious name. His kingdom is forever and ever.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'ahavata et Adonai Elohecha v'kol levecha uv'kol nafshecha uv'kol meyodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinata levanecha v'dibarta b'am v'shivtecha bebetecha ולבטחה בדרך, ושפך ובקמך, ושמת ליד על ידיך, והיו לטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על ממזות ביתך, ובשעריך. Amen. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Amen. Amen. I know we're running low on time. Do we have more time?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go down the list, please. Mi kamocha ve'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo osefele, norati lo osefele. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, glorified in holiness? You are awesome in praise, working wonders, O Lord. Who is like you, O Lord? Amen. Let's go down the list. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Yalman evrachelotei, v'yamich malchotei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon u'chayedei kalbei Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'imaru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabba v'vorach, לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדה ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמר קודשה ברכו. ללם עיקר ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירה מימה, ויאמרו אמן. Say shalom miromav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru amen. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, say shalom, say shalom. Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. V'imaru. Amen. Magnified and sanctified be the name of God throughout the world, which he has created according to his will. May he establish his kingdom during the days of your life and during the life of all the house of Israel. Speedily, yes, soon, and say, Amen. May his great name be blessed forever and ever. Blessed and praised and glorified and exalted and extolled and honored and magnified and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed be he whose glory transcends. Yes, he's beyond all blessings and hymns and praises and consolations. Then make an offering to him and say, Amen. May he who establishes peace in the heavens grant peace to us and to all of Israel, and say, Amen. Hallelujah. Meshamru. And then we'll go into the Torah service. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם מרית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם מרית עולם. בני ובני בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כששת ימים אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ביום השביעי שבע ונפש, שבע ונפש, שבע ונפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם, לדורות ברית עולם. Amen. Let us proceed with the Torah service right into the Aliyah. Yamoda Zita Basara la Torah. Come for Zita, daughter of Sarah, to the Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvurak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvurak le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher beka banu mechol hayamim, v'natan lanu et Torato.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Amen. Good job. Thank you. And this week's Torah reading is from Mishpatim.
With your permission, I'm going to remain seated.
Okay.
I may decide to jump up out of excitement, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Y'all may be seated.
This week's Torah Parsha is found in Exodus chapter 21, beginning in verse 1. The title is Mishpatim, and it's translated in this version of the Bible, Judgments. Ve'eleh hamishpatim asher tasim lifneihem. These are the judgments which you shall set before them, in other words, the people of Israel. These are the prejudgments, like we talked about first beginning of the morning class. And I really recommend, if you haven't heard that morning class, you need to hear it today, okay? It'll keep you out of trouble and help you to be able to stand firm where God puts you. I'm going to go ahead and open up to a easy to read version here. Oh, this is the wrong book here. Well, my program is opening up the wrong chapter for me. I'm going to go ahead and just close it out and reopen it in the right place and see if it'll track me then. If the devil messes me up, then he's just going to get another black eye. I don't care. There we go. He might give me a little trouble, but he is going to run when he realizes I got him. Let's talk about the adversary, y'all. Okay. Parsha 18 of the Torah is found in Exodus 21, beginning in verse 1, like we said in just a moment ago. These are the rulings you are to present to them, i.e. Israel. If you purchase a Hebrew slave, wait a minute, what's Israel doing purchasing a Hebrew slave?
Their own slave, their own people?
Well, has anybody ever had some financial problems?
Definitely, yes.
You can't even eliminate our beloved President Trump from having financial problems because he has had to claim bankruptcy once when he was, and he survived and came back stronger.
He sure did.
Why? Because God had plans for him, and he's on the mission right now. So if a Hebrew gets in trouble, what's he supposed to do? What's his options? He can go to one of his brothers and say, I've got my family farm here, and I've worked it as best I can, and I find myself not able to manage it well, and I need some help. So I'm going to ask you to temporarily buy my property from me, and I will come to work for you as a slave.
Right.
And guess what he's going to learn while he's there working with his neighbor who is very successful? He's going to learn how to manage that property better. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So he's going for an education here.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's given up some of his ownership rights and a few years of his life just so that he can learn what he needs to learn in order to make his property more successful. Yeah. So he goes and he lives with his new master. There's some rules here that have to be followed. God says if you're going to have a Hebrew slave, this is the conditions by which I'll let you do that. If you purchase a Hebrew slave, he is to work 6 years. But in the 7th year, he is to be given his freedom without having to pay anything. If he came in single, he is to leave single. If he was married when he came, his wife is to go with him when he leaves. She doesn't become the slave of his master. If he was married when he came, his wife is to go with him when he leaves. But if his master gives him a wife he wasn't married to when he came in, and she bears him sons or daughters, her and her children will belong to her master. This is a little hard for us modern Americans to digest. Yes. She will belong to her master, and he will leave the slave that sold himself to his master. He will leave by himself, and her children will belong to her master, and he will leave by himself. Nevertheless, if the slave declares, I love my master and my wife and my children, so I don't want to go free, then his master is to bring him before God. The Hebrew word there is Elohim, and a lot of times the ruling governor of a place is called a part of the Elohim. He's acting on behalf of the spiritual judges. And so then his masters bring him before God, and there at the door or doorpost, his master is to pierce his ear with an awl, and the man will be his slave for life. It's something the slave decided because he really likes his master a lot, and he can see how he could never have made the farm to produce like his master is causing it to produce. and he's being beneficial to his master, and his master likes him a lot, and he likes his master a lot, so they make an agreement, and he goes before the judges, and they put his ear up on the doorpost, and he rams an awl through his ear as a sign that he will be his master forever. If a man sells his daughter as a slave, why would he do that? Well, that's how you make marriages in ancient times. So she becomes a wife to the one that she's sold to. She is not to go free like the men slaves. If her master married her but decides she no longer pleases him, then he is to allow her to be redeemed. And if he is not allowed to sell her to a foreign people because he has treated her unfairly. If he has her marry his son, then he bought her for the purpose of giving him to his son, okay? And then he is to treat her like a daughter. If he marries another wife, he is not to reduce her food, clothing, or marital rights. If he fails to provide her with these three things, she is to be given her freedom without having to pay anything. Whoever attacks a person and causes his death must be put to death. If it was not premeditated, but an act of God, then I will designate for you a place where he can flee to. But if someone willfully kills another after deliberately planning it, you are to take him even from my altar and put him to death. Whoever attacks his father or mother must be put to death. Whoever kidnaps someone, who must be put to death, regardless whether he has already sold him or the person is found still in his possession. Whoever curses his father or mother must be put to death. If two people fight, one hits the other with a stone or with his fist, and the injured party doesn't die but is confined to his bed, then if he receives enough to be able to walk around outside, if he recovers enough to walk around outside even with a cane, the attacker will be free of all liability except to compensate him for his loss of time and take responsibility for his care until his recovery is complete. If a person beats his male or female slave with a stick so severely that he dies, he is to be punished, except that if the slave lives for a day or two, he is not to be punished, since the slave is his property. If the people are fighting with each other and happen to hurt a pregnant woman so badly that her unborn child dies, then even if no other harm follows, he must be fined. He must pay the amount set by the woman's husband or father, if that may be the case. But since she's pregnant, it's going to be the husband. So badly that her unborn child dies, then even if no other harm follows, he must be fined. He is to pay the amount set by the woman's husband and confirmed by the judges. Any harm follows, then you are to give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. Now, let's hold on right there for a moment, for a moment, and let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Yeshua had been preaching at the Galilee the place called the Kinneret today in modern Israel. It's the sea that actually is up at the north end of the Galilee near St. Peter's home. He went all over the Galilee, teaching in the synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and healing people from every kind of disease. The word of him spread around through all of Syria, and the people brought him all who were ill, suffering from various diseases and pains, and those held in the power of demons, and epileptics and paralytics, and he healed them. Huge crowds followed him from Galilee, the 10 towns, Jerusalem, Yehuda, and Hayardin. Seeing the crowds, okay, I thought I had gotten down to this already. Let me skip down. I want to get right to the point of this section. Verse 17 is a verse that no churches seem to believe anymore. I don't think that I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I have not come to abolish, but to complete. Yes, indeed, I tell you that until heaven and earth pass away, not so much as a yud, which is the smallest of the Hebrew letters, or the stroke, which are the little decorative crowns that are put on top of the letters in the Torah, will pass from the Torah, not until everything that must happen has happened. Whoever disobeys the least of the mitzvah and teaches others to do so will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, but whoever obeys them and so teaches will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness is far greater than that of the Torah teachers and the Prushim, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard it said of our fathers. Now here's where we get into where I wanted to head. You've heard it of our fathers, we're told, do not murder. And anyone who commits murder will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who nurses anger against his brother will be subject to the judgment. And whoever calls his brother, you good for nothing, will be brought before the Sanhedrin, and that whoever says, fool, incurs the penalty of burning in the fire of Gehenna. So if you are offering your gift at the temple altar, and you remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there where it is by the altar, and go make peace with your brother. Then come back and offer your gift. If someone sues you, come to terms with him quickly while you and he are on the way to the court. Or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the officer of the court, and you may be thrown in jail. Yes, indeed, I tell you, you will certainly not get out of there till you have paid the last penny. So, did Jesus do away with the Torah? In fact, isn't he instead giving it a place of honor? Yeah. You've heard it said that our fathers were told, don't commit adultery. But I tell you that a man who even looks at a woman with the purpose of lusting after her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye makes you sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It's better that you should lose one part of you than to have your whole body thrown into Gehenna. If your right hand makes you to sin, cut it off. Throw it away. It's better that you should lose one part of your body than to have your whole body thrown into Gehenna. It was said, whoever divorces his wife must give her a get. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except on the ground of fornication or sexual sin makes her an adulteress, that anyone who marries a divorcee commits adultery. Again, you have heard that our fathers were told, do not break your oath, keep your vows to Yahweh. But I tell you not to swear at all, not by heaven, because it is God's throne, not by the earth, because it is his footstool, not by Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great king. And don't swear by your head. You can't even make a single hair white or black. Just let your yes be yes, or your no a simple no. Anything more than this has origins of evil. You've heard it said that our fathers were told, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. But I tell you to stand up against someone who does you wrong. Not to stand up. I tell you not to stand up against someone who does you wrong. On the contrary, if someone hits you on the right cheek, let him hit you on the left cheek too. Someone wants to sue you for your shirt, let him have your coat as well. If a soldier forces you to carry his pack for 1 mile, carry it too. When someone asks you for something, give it to him. And when someone wants to borrow something from you, lend it to him. You've heard it said, love your neighbor, hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Then you will become children of your Father in heaven, for he makes the sun to shine on good people and bad people alike, and he sends rain to the righteous and the unrighteous alike. What reward do you get if you have love only those who have love for you? Why, even the tax collectors do that. And if you are friendly only to your friends, who are you? Let's see. Friendly only to your friends, are you doing anything out of ordinary? Even the Goyim do that. Therefore, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So we can see that Yeshua's ministry was very clearly supportive of the Torah, making it even more binding than it was otherwise. Anybody who says the Torah is done away with is not a follower of Yeshua. I hit the wrong button there. So I got the point made that I wanted to come back to, that the New Testament, the New Covenant, supports the Torah. That's what we were reading. And when it said an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, and bruise for bruise. That's, I guess you could say, get-uppins or punishment for a person who's hurt you or caused you permanent harm. He goes on and talks about even a female slave, if he knocks out her tooth, he must let her. If he knocks out his male or female slave's tooth, he must let him go for free in compensation for his tooth. Yeah. If ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox is to be stoned and its flesh not eaten, but its owner, the owner of the ox, will have no further liability. However, if the ox was in a habit of goring in the past, and the owner was warned but did not confine it, so that it ends up killing a man or a woman, then the ox has to be stoned to death. And its owner, too, is to be put to death. However, a ransom may be imposed upon him, and the death penalty will be commuted if he pays the amount imposed. If the ox gores a son or a daughter, the same rule applies. If the ox gores a male or female slave, its owner must give the master 12 ounces of silver, and the ox is to be stoned to death. If someone removes the cover from a cistern or digs one and fails to cover it, an ox or a donkey falls in, the owner of the cistern must make good the loss by compensating the animal's owner, but the dead animal will be his. If one person's ox hurts another's so that it dies, they are to sell the live ox and divide the revenue from the sale, and they are also to divide the dead animal. If it is known that the ox was in the habit of goring in the past, the owner did not confine it, he must pay ox for ox, but the dead animal will be his. If someone steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters or sells it, he is to pay 5 oxen for an ox, 4 for a sheep, 4 for a sheep. Now, what this is talking about is the difference in value. An ox can pull a plow. 2 oxen can pull a pretty hefty load. Right. And if somebody steals or kills an ox that belonged to somebody, then he has to do more than just replace the ox. He has to compensate it. With 5 oxen. So he has to give 5 oxen. Why would he have to pay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 for a sheep? Why would he have to do that? Well, because this was a moneymaker animal. He was trained. His owner knew how to work the animal. If he gets a replacement, he's going to have to train it. So it's a problem. It's going to take a lot of his time to be able to get this ox to where it can perform what he needs it to do. If a thief caught in the act of breaking in is beaten to death, it is not murder, unless it happens after sunrise, in which case it is murder. A thief must make restitution. So if he has nothing, he himself is to be sold to make good for the loss of the theft. If what he stole is found alive in his possession, he is to pay double, no matter whether it is an ox, a donkey, or a sheep.
What's specific about sunrise? Is it because there's a deliberate act for waiting against that thief? Then they're
it's talking about if a thief is caught in the act of breaking in and is beaten to death, it is not counted as murder.
Right.
Unless it happens after sunrise.
Or like premeditated, I guess? Yeah.
In which case it is murder.
Yeah.
A thief must make restitution, so if he has nothing, he himself is to be sold to make good the loss for the theft. So he becomes a slave, impoverished person, a person who is enslaved because of his poverty.
Right.
If what he stole is found alive in his possession, he is to pay double, no matter whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep. If a person causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over or lets his animal loose to graze on someone else's field, he's to make restitution from the best produce of his own field or vineyard. If a fire is started and spreads to thorns so that it catches grain standing or field is destroyed, the person who lit it must make restitution. If a person entrusts a neighbor with money or goods and they are stolen from the trustee's house, then if the thief is found, he must pay double. But if the thief is not found, then the trustee must state before God that he did not take the person's goods himself. In every case of dispute over ownership, whether an ox or donkey or sheep, clothing or any missing property, where one person says, "This is mine," both parties are to come before God, and the one whom God condemns must pay the other one double. You're welcome to ask a question or make a comment on any of these if you feel you have one. Did you have any? X?
No, I'm thinking more about the oxen and the sheep that were stolen, and now some recompense has to be made for them being taken away. And what could we pretty much equal that to? That's a wonder. Because you would think that it might seem typically fair just to go ahead and pay just one, or ox or just one sheep.
Just pick up where you left off and continue.
Okay.
That's good enough, Brandon. X.
All right. I was just thinking more about the recompensing lost oxen and lost sheep, and can't help but wonder if this is more like a time matter as well as a financial one, or something similar there too. And what if you had, say, a employer who lost an employee, and now he has to get another employee or so, and if they have all this work that needs to be done because the employee left, then would it make sense to, say, hire more than one employee or employer to make up for all this work that never got done while the employee was away?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what comes to mind here. No.
I have a friend who is a waiter
Right.
at a restaurant.
Right.
He has a little lamb that he has been raising for a large number of months here now.
Okay.
And he's won a couple of prizes with him. And so he is really pleased with this lamb. And if anything was to happen to the lamb, how would he feel?
Oh, not good.
It'd be like losing a pet.
Yeah,
Okay.
losing your son or daughter.
So the lamb is then worth more to the family because of its long-term status, probably even living in the house
Okay.
with everybody. Okay?
Something just came to mind.
Okay?
Something just came to mind here. Know how I lost my little dog, little Chewini. I don't think I ever had a cuter dog, but anyway. Keep thinking about how great it would be if, say, I was recompensed for the loss of that dog, and if maybe somebody gave me more than one dog, and then I think keep thinking that would have been fair, and maybe having more than one dog would kind of make up for, say, I mean, it would be good if my last dog had some company, and of course I had plenty of room to run around with both dogs. So if I had at least two, recompenses. So if somebody had caused me to lose that dog, say, like if I was upset with, say, that dog having been put to sleep or something like that because of her illness, and if there was some sort of penalty being incurred upon the person who had that euthanization going on, then if that were like a crime, as it were, then don't you think it would be only best if that person recompensed me for the loss of that dog?
Sure.
By giving me more, and this time giving me at least two dogs to make up for that.
But think if this was a championship dog and its value was
Right.
$500 or $1,000, you
Right.
know? It wouldn't be right for him to just get away without giving him a sufficient compensation
Right.
to really make up for the loss of the dog.
Right.
So that's the kind of the thing that we're talking about here. My friend's little lamb has now earned a few championship certificates, and so if somebody was to kill it or steal it or something happened to it because somebody was careless, reckless, or whatever, then he would have to compensate for the loss of that animal. But this isn't just any old animal. It's a certificate holder from being a champion. How is he going to get built back up to the place to where that championship status would be able to pay him for what he's been working so long and so hard toward? So that's the reason why the difference is in the compensation.
Yeah.
It's going to have to find a lamb of similar quality and
And give him two of them because one
Yeah.
lamb is probably not going to meet the championship status.
Yeah,
So they're going to have to compensate him appropriately.
exactly.
If a person trusts a neighbor to look after his donkey, ox, sheep, or any animal and it dies, is injured, or is driven away unseen, Then the neighbor's oath before Yahweh that he has not taken the goods will settle the matter between him and the owner, is to accept it without the neighbor's making restitution. But if it was stolen from the neighbor, the thief must make restitution to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by an animal, the neighbor must bring it as evidence, and then he doesn't need to make good the loss. So there's some little regulations here trying to show, you know, who's liable for what and when and how much and so on. Here's one that if a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price for her to be his wife. But if her father refuses to give her to him, he must pay a sum equivalent to the bride price for virgins.
Does he pay that to the man?
To the father.
To the father. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't sure
He
which
says,
direction.
here's one that I rely on heavily
Mm-hmm.
when witchcraft starts cursing us. Exodus 22, verse 17. You are not to permit a sorceress to live. I'm going to repeat that for emphasis. You are not to permit a sorceress to live. Why did the next one come up with sexual relations? Whoever has sexual relations with an animal must be put to death. Because that's what witchcraft is based upon, is sexual relations with a virgin or with an animal. Verse 19, anyone who sacrifices to any other god than Yahweh alone is to be completely destroyed. You must neither wrong or oppress a foreigner living among you, for you yourselves were foreigners in the land of Egypt. You're not to abuse any widow or orphan. If you do abuse them in any way, and they cry to me, I will certainly heed their cry. And my anger will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. Your own wives will be widows, and your own children fatherless.
The statement said there about not to oppress or harm the foreigner speaks in relative to what's going on today, in a way. But the key thing is that Yahweh instructed us even before that if a foreigner is going to live within your land, they're going to need to basically convert.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to adhere to the regulations and the mitzvot, everything that Yahweh has instructed even our people.
Right.
So much like today, the foreigners who live in this land need to become citizens legally.
Mm-hmm.
Make oaths.
That's why they're putting the fence up.
Yeah.
Hello. You are not to repeat false rumors. Do not join hands with the wicked by offering perjured testimony. Some of these things are just so obvious.
Yeah. However, there are those that will twist it. However, there are those that will twist it.
Here's where it says, you are not to oppress a foreigner. You're to serve Yahweh your God, and he will bless your food and your water. I will take sickness away from you. This is chapter 23, verse 25. I will take sickness away from you. In your land, your women will not miscarry or be barren, and you will live out full span of your lives. I will send terror ahead of you. I will send terror of me ahead of you throwing into confusion all the people whom you come, and I will make all of your enemies turn their backs on you. In other words, running. I will send hornets ahead of you. This is so powerful here. I will send hornets ahead of you to drive out the Hivi, the Canaanite, the Hittite from before you. I will not drive them out before you in a single year, which would cause the land to become desolate and the wild animals too many for you. I will drive them out from before you gradually until you have grown in number and can take possession of the land. Man, I've seen witches that were meeting for the purpose of cursing Zion and me, that this came upon them. I will send hornets ahead of you to drive out the Hivi, the Canaanite, the Hittite from before you. Yeah. It's true. It still works today. I'm going to go down here and see if there's anything else I need to cover here. Look at verse 9 of chapter 24. Moses, Aaron, Nadav, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders went up, and they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like sapphire stone pavement, as clear as the sky itself. He did not reach out his hand against the notables of Israel. On the contrary, they saw God even as they were eating and drinking. Yahweh said to Moses, "Come on up to me on the mountain and stay there. I will give you stone tablets with the Torah and the Mitzvot, the commandments that I have written upon them, so that you can teach them." Moses got up also, Yehoshua's assistant, and Moses went up to the mountain of God. To the leaders he said, "Stay here until we have come back to you. See that Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a problem should turn to them." And it was said that Moses stayed there. In verse 18, he stayed 40 days and nights. It's a long time to go without meals, isn't it? Okay, well, that's it for this week. We're going to, next week is the Terumah, the Parsha Terumah, and that will be in Exodus chapter 24, chapter 25, verse 1. Exodus chapter 25, verse 1. So please be sure and join us, because we have some good discussions on Tuesday night. We got a little more time on Tuesday that we can have discussions. And I'm sorry that we weren't able to keep the Tuesday night classes going last week, but we will continue them again this week. So be sure and join us. Also, when you hear a teaching that you really like, please click on thumbs up for the broadcast, because that's maybe the only way we have of knowing that somebody was watching it. Okay, so just help us out that way. And even if you just kind of liked it, just click the thumbs up on it so we'll know you were there. Yeah, let your yay be yay and your no be no. All right, well, God bless you all. Thank you for joining us for this morning's Torah class and for the earlier class this morning. Like I say, it was really good. If you didn't get to see it, go click on the archive of this morning's class. I promise you, you'll enjoy it, especially if you seek after righteousness and justice. You'll love it. So until next time, may God bless you and protect you and keep you. And we will see you next Sabbath and maybe next Tuesday too if you come. Hallelujah. Bring the closing ceremony items. Okie dokie. That's pretty cool, those pictures of us blowing the shofars. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I like that.
It is cool. Are you going to be seated or standing?
I'm going to stand.
Okay.
Oh!
Remove that banner, please.
My old knees don't want to cooperate when I'm sitting that far down. Please bring up the Aaronic benediction. Yevarekach Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Amen.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
Amen.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom.
Amen.
The Lord bless and keep you. The Lord turn his face upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord shine his countenance upon you and give you shalom.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Amen. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings created the fruit of the vine. Amen.
Amen. I can hold the mic if you like.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ziv al netalat yadayim.
Amen.
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by his commandments and commanded us concerning the washing of our hands.
Amen.
I would like to thank Yahweh for his continued progression in blessing my health.
Yes.
It's been a wonderful thing to feel good again.
Yeah.
And we are happy to be here serving Yahweh.
Amen. Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth.
Amen. Thank you.
Shalom, Havarim, shalom. I'll give you a minute to finish chewing, okay?
Okie dokie.
All righty.
Shalom,
my
Havarim,
friend.
shalom, Havarim,
Shalom,
shalom, shalom. להתראות, להתראות, שלום, שלום. Shalom, my friend, shalom, my friend, shalom, shalom. Till we meet again, till we meet again, shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.
Hallelujah!
We'll see you next time.
Amen.
Have a blessed week.
Thought a red light came on.